I am in Lagos, I will be very honest with you, right? I can go and vote, but I will not allow my mom, my sisters, I have them, I have 4 sisters and my mom, I will not allow them to go because I cannot control what happened. And that has caused a lot of voter suppression. The voter apathy, that has contributed to that particular thing. I know he has come out to apologize, but what he has done has been done, right? For the CP to come out and say, that was a joke, that is a joke for him to say that. So what happened in Lagos, I will not sit here. I think God will not allow me to sit here and tell you nothing happened. A lot of things happened. A lot of voter suppression, a lot of security issues were recorded, but there are paths that have not recorded that kind of a thing, right? Okay. So we have to call them pockets because the number of places where the positive events were recorded and the number of places where the negative events were recorded, the number of places where the positive events were recorded are more than the negative event. Okay. But my own thing is, can we investigate that issues? Can arrests be made? Can these people first the book?
Now, in the words of Joseph Stalin, who is a revolutionary in the Russian Empire and political leader who led the Soviet Union from 1924 until his death in 1953, once said, "The people who cast the votes don't decide an election. The people who count the votes do." All right, our next one is from Carl Thomas, who is an American syndicated columnist, author, and radio commentator. He once said, "One of the reasons people hate politics is that the truth is rarely a politician's objective. Elections and power are." Now let's see how all of this quote will relate to what we will be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to D Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now tonight we'll take highlights from 2023 general election, all that happened during the presidential, the National Assembly elections, and the State Assembly elections to see exactly how we did, if we went wrong, if it was free, fair, credible, like some people have stated. And we have our guest, of course, on the show today. My first guest is Modibbo, who is the head of data collection USAPE deployment 2023, and afterwards we'll bring a young politician who went into the ring to contest for elections in Ado constituency in person of Richard Oriri, who is a politician, he is a political journalist, and that is what we will be discussing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to D Conversation. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is D Conversation. We are reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to our conversation for tonight. Our guest on the show tonight is Modibbo. He is head of data collection, USAPE deployment 2023. It's good to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Great, awesome. All right, now let's talk about elections 2023, from the presidential elections to the National Assembly elections, the State Assembly elections, and the governorship elections. Seeing for the fact that you are an observant, an election observer, what exactly would you tell Nigerians? What would you say with regards to the outcome of the elections from A to Z?
All right, so first of all, we observe election. We have deployed 20,000 observers to observe the election. But on a good note, what we did was to observe the processes of election, not minding what were the result of the election. Okay. Why did we do that? Is because we want to have a free, fair, credible, and transparent election that people will vote for a candidate they feel like that candidate resonates with what the mandate they look for. And that's what we did. So prior to that election, we've been observing election. We've observed the Kenyan last year election and also observed the Osun and Ekiti election before the presidential election on the 25th of February. And there were some positive events and negative events that occurred during the observation. You know, you could know that the people of Borno suffered issues of the Monday market fire, which is a negative event for us, and investigations are still going on. And also there are some
of the governorship elections now.
the presidential election
okay.
for now.
Okay.
So, in Borno alone, there were 2 fire incidents. On the presidential election, there was a fire incident, and then on the governorship election, there was also another fire incident, which is funny. So we've recorded pockets
Funny,
of
really.
violence across the country, from Rivers to Lagos to Kano to a part of Sokoto and Ebonyi and Akwa Ibom. We've recorded that pocket of violence. One of our observer in the governorship election was attacked, beaten, and had a lot of trauma. She's still undergoing that trauma from Ebonyi, and then in Lagos as well. And also, we've recorded some technical issues on the 25th of February, where the IREF results were not uploaded on the IREF as Nigerians are told that thing will do. And then opening of polling units did not really, a lot of polling units did not open on time from 8:30 to 9. We tried to just get some data on that. But during the 18th, last Saturday, that's the 18th of March, we recorded some positive impact of, recommendations that we made from the opening of polling units, as well as the IREF results were uploaded on the IREF. We used to do that normal checks from 6:15, 7:15, 8:15 on that. So as of 6:15 on Saturday, 38% of the result of all the elections were uploaded on the IREF. As of 9:15, we've had almost 60% of the result being uploaded on the IREF. And that did not happen during the presidential election, because as of 10:25, that's when we started receiving result on the IREF. And the results that were uploaded, large chunk of them were blurry, some were people's picture, and what have you. Then the next point of the negative events that we recorded were vote buying and vote selling, both during the presidential election and the governorship and state assembly election. In Bauchi, we had to put up a video that had a cabinet member with 2 armed policemen, helping him to share 2,000 naira.
I think I saw that video also.
That has happened. The only thing is the fact that no arrest has been made, and nobody was brought to book and what have you. But we've seen the men of EFCC and ICPC doing a fantastic job, even though they were attacked. We recorded some incident of where the men of the EFCC being attacked and what have you. We also recorded on Saturday, we recorded a thing that is not supposed to happen in Imo, where Inec officials were abducted. In Yobe, they were adopted, beaten, and then released. In Kogi, a lot of them were also adopted, but some of them were released and what have you. In general, there were pockets of incidents, right, that happened, pockets of incidents, but there were pockets of positive events as well that were recorded. And based on our recommendations during the presidential election, a lot of improvement happened during the governorship and state assembly election. But in a general term, why I keep mentioning pockets, there are thousands of polling units across the country. It's just few of them that are ravaged by the insurgent. If you look at what happened in Lagos, there were plenty, numbers of polling units in Lagos, but there are some places where they had issues, while there are some places that they've not had issues. So you cannot just generalize and make it look like the whole thing, it's all bad, when there are some people that went cast their vote and then find their way and everything. So now, coming back to your question of the outcomes, some states are seeing the outcomes. I know Zamfara has seen their own outcome, Oyo, Kwara, Nasara, and some other state, and then you could see that people are jubilating, some people are sad because they lost election, which is a reality. In the business world, you either win or gain. In development world, you either achieve your own goal or learn, right? In politics, you either win or lose. You know, definitely someone will win, definitely someone will lose. But what we see transpired again in the election has to do with, you know, people putting out fake news, misinformation, and disinformation that cause a lot of people to be misled, like the incident that happened in Adamawa, where people are jubilating, congratulating, saying a certain person has won when Inec has not announced the result. You know, in general, what we keep telling the public is Inec is scheduled with the responsibility of announcing result. We waited 4 years for this time. Let's wait for few hours for them to do that, and we get the result. If it's to jubilate, we go and jubilate in a meaningful way. If it is to go back, re-strategize, and know how we can put up the case in the election petition tribunal, is something we can do. I think in general terms, that's you know, how the election went.
All right, now you said quite a number of things that we're going to draw out of from. Now, I'm going to ask you a tripartite question, and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath. Now, you talked about the security officials, and then you said in some parts of the country, like in Adamawa state, where you have police officers right there, and then they still have vote trading. Now, are you going to say that for the security officials, because you talked about also the EFCC, they did good. So does it actually mean that some security officials were there doing their job while it's a different kettle of fish for some other security officials? That's one on the side. And then secondly, I saw a report where the Minister of Communication and Information said that this is the best, freest, fairest, and most credible election ever. Do you agree with that? That's two.
Why would I? I will not.
Okay, so now the third one, I'd like you to just put them together in one breath. I know that's like jam-packing too many questions. And now the third one now is, you said there's quite a number of difference from what we had during the presidential elections and then the governorship elections. And then we knew how much tension was brewing after the presidential elections. Everybody was on the throat of Inec. So would you actually say that they did good and they learned from their lessons with all that happened during the presidential elections?
So first of all, I have to say it to you the way it is. For me, I would say there is a deliberate effort for the IRF not to work in the presidential election. Why did I say there's a deliberate effort? The thing is, if you don't give me information, what you're telling me is I can go ahead and think about whatever and then cook that thing and go with it. And that's exactly what happened, right? We've seen that particular thing working in the governorship election. So what I will say is there was a deliberate effort for it not to work.
From whose side?
From the INEC side, right? There have been a lot of improvement. I don't think there is an agency that has improved over time like the way INEC did. I can tell you this without a mincing word, simply because for the first time in history, I've seen a well-documented contingency plan for INEC, right? And then over time, we have seen our election being postponed simply because of logistics, right? And then we've not seen that happen in the presidential election, but we've seen it happen in the gubernatorial and state assembly election. So it's something that we can put it to them. And then Beavers is a game changer in our election, right? You've seen a lot of things happening. And this time around, why this election is a bit odd, we've had what is called a newest thing in our electoral cycle, which is the third force. We always used to believe that there are only two major political parties, they deliberate and then one will come out with it. But now we have what is called third force. Now that third force is coming with a big force, right? It has changed a lot of dynamics. Now, when we come back to issues of free, fair, and credible election, I tell you what, I believe there is no far-fetched election. There is no perfect election. I observe election in the US. I happen to observe election in Kenya, right? Kenya had almost all we do here in our election cycle. That is what they have. They have beavers. They call it Kim card. They have IREF. They have reg and what have you. The only difference is they have independent candidacy. We don't have. They have logos and pictures on their ballot paper. We don't have. They do diaspora voting in some part of the countries that are close to them and where they think they have people. We don't do, right? But any other thing is the same thing as that of Kenya. So I will not say the election is free, fair, and credible, because there are issues, there were negative issues that were recorded. And in as much as there were positive events that were recorded, those negative issues could not have happened because INEC promised us they were ready.
So it was avoidable.
Right? It was avoidable. Now, I'll tell you another thing that people are not looking at, issues of people living with disability, right? There were a form that INEC promised some forms that will be given so that they will get the numbers of people that are voting in a particular place that are living with disability. In the next election cycle, they will prepare for them. That happened in some places, but it did not happen in the majority of places. Some of these people, even though you give them priority voting and what have you, you did not help them. Someone that is cannot see, in such a way, there is a way you can give him so that he will also exercise his mandate. That did not happen. This is avoidable. It's something that can be done, right? The issues of IREF that
I recall sorry, I had to butt in, but yeah. I recall the INEC commissioner, when I had talked to him, he said that they were going to give them those magnifying glasses. So it wasn't provided.
It wasn't. It was provided in some places, but it's not in all places. So if you did not provide it in all places, how do you expect the people that are living with that physical disability in that place to do? That is avoidable. And if you look at the issues of logistics, we have seen a lot of issues, in as much as there were policies that made things difficult, from issues of the Naira redesigning policy, fuel scarcity, and what have you, contributed to that particular thing. But what I expected is, we expected something more. I am not a good person that complain, but I think there are things that happen, there are things that occurred that can be avoidable. That is on the part of the INEC. Now, on the part of citizens, there are few pocket of people that want to snatch ballot papers, want to burn the ballot paper, want to disrupt the process and what have you. These are things that also government can do something around it. Why did I say government can do something around it? Each and every polling unit has an unarmed police, or let me say security operatives there. And then around that polling unit, it has what is called armed security personnel there. So each and every polling unit that had election malpractice, from disruption to snuffing to all these things, ideally, those people should be able to tell what really happened, right? If real investigation can be done, if they are outnumbered or outpowered, they should be able to tell us these are things that happen, and let's have some arrest and what have you. But till today, no arrest has been made. I've not heard of any arrest. If there were arrests like that of EFCC published to say we've arrested so person in this. We've seen some arrests in Kano. Then after arrest, what happened? So these are things that contribute to what makes election free, fair, credible, right? How transparent can the election be is something that INEC promised each and every one of us, right? Have we seen that happen, right? I will not say we've seen that happen, but we have had a lot of changes, a lot of improvement, but there are still pockets of negative events that can be managed, actually. And I think we just have to congratulate INEC for doing what they did, congratulate the citizen for doing what they have done, and also, for the aftermath of election, the outcome of election is another thing that we have to be afraid of, right? Afraid of in the sense that we have to preach peace, we have to preach unity, so that we don't weaponize what brings us together as people.
Okay, now talking about that peace and unity, you've actually not touched on the security side, because we saw some a particular video of a policeman who was sleeping on duty, and then we saw the video of the Lagos CP, Ido, saying that there was no voter suppression, there were no violence in Lagos. So do you agree with that one?
All right. So I tell you what, sometimes if people talk about what they have seen. Sitting down here, I only tell you what I have seen. What do I mean by what I've seen? I have 20,000 people out there. 7,000 are accredited observers are moving around, sending on report. We categorize it and put it up there, right? So I tell you what I have seen, right? I will not tell you what I have heard because I cannot verify that particular thing. For him, he is meant to monitor election. And for someone that is monitoring election, he sees something that is bad and he corrects it. Saying that he has not election were peaceful and what have you, for him, maybe that's what he has seen. But for me, I will say we've had a report. I've told you earlier that one of our observers was beaten. His pregnant wife had issues. You know, she's still in the hospital because of that. Her only offense is she went to vote. She went to cast her vote, right? And she had some people. I had a colleague that was beaten because he looks like a particular tribe. You know, he was beaten. I to some extent when we were talking, he was rendering cause. You know, I laughed. I'm like, bro, you don't have to do that, right? There are few people that did that. So we've had a lot of security issues. Those security issues has to do with voter suppression and what have you. And I tell you what, there are some other part of the country, like in Kogi, in Nasarawa, in other part of the country that we got issues of voter suppression that has to do with providing food for the Inec officials while they are doing this thing. Nobody said you should not do that. Allow them to finish. If you give them food, all you're doing is you're trying to put them in one of the things, and it's wrong. It's completely wrong.
Oh, really? But those electorate don't see it as wrong. We also saw when they were bringing their torchlight phones. Even I saw a particular youth bringing generator.
This is trying to protect things, right? But bringing food, you're giving someone food, automatically you're trying to buy that person to have soft spot for you.
Is that how you see it?
And it's wrong. It's wrong. It's there in the Electoral Act 2022. It's wrong. And we've seen that happen. You've seen what happened in Kano where people finish voting, upload it on IREF, also escort it to the collection center. That is people trying to, protect their mandate, in as much as it caused a lot of tension. There was tense in the state or what have you, but they have done it. We've recorded some issues of, disruption of people's property, and police should be questioned, right? There was a curfew in Kano, but they went ahead, they burned some houses. We recorded those report and what have you. Are still verifying to put it up there. But I think in a general terms, I would say let's embrace peace.
Let's embrace peace. Okay, now before we talk about embracing peace, with all of this tribal and religious sentiments, you even hear people like the NURTW boss in Lagos and the statements that he made, which the CP of Lagos still came out to say it was just a joke. And for Nigerians, they say that's a joke taken too far. And then you hear statements like that. According to some people, that was one of the major reasons for voter apathy. Do you actually agree with that? And then how exactly did we even get here where we need to start bashing each other?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to correct that. I don't think he is the NURTW chairman, right? He has its own, Lagos State has its own transport union and what have you, not the NURT. He used to be the NURT chairman. If you look at that statement, it's a statement that he made, telling some people. And anybody, if I am in Lagos, I will be very honest with you, right? I can go and vote, but I will not allow my mom, my sisters, I have them. I have 4 sisters and my mom, I will not allow them to go because I cannot control what happened. And that has caused a lot of voter suppression. The voter apathy, that has contributed to that particular thing. I know he has come out to apologize, but what he has done has been done, right? For the CP to come out and say, that was a joke, that is a joke for him to say that, right? Because you are not there when he said it. And coming out to apologize, that means he has said it. And you've seen what happened. We've recorded a number of cases where the same thing that he said will be done was done, right? but it's pocket of them. But what I want us to, I think till today, we've not understand what these issues of tribalism, religion, and what have you, ideology has unleashed into the society. I tell you what, our diversity is the unity we have. What brings us together is the unity we have. And then those particular things, those differences that we have, I might be a Guti by tribe, you know, you might be another tribe, and we come together, we laugh, we gist, we can always be friends for meeting today. But if those things are weaponized, I bet you this, it will cause a lot of havoc. You see a Yoruba person marry a Hausa person marrying an Igbo person. I know of my friend that is from my state, that is married to someone from Ebonyi state, and they're living happily. There is no place I go to eat during Ramadan apart from their own house, right? They are my brothers. She is my sister. He is my brother. That is what keeps us together. But the moment we begin to weaponize those things, that's what will cause issues. And one of the issues I have noticed over time, observing election and looking at what democracy in Nigeria is turning into, is the fact that we don't have ideology, right? So the ideology that those politicians, the ideologies that the politicians, the bad politician gives us, is the ideology of religion and sentiment, right? Prior to the presidential and governorship, as well as the national and state assembly election, there was what is called peace accord, right? We signed, the first one was signed, and before the second one was signed, there was an announcement, there was a conversation around the spokespersons of the presidential candidate has been throwing a lot of banters, a lot of insult at each other. And
they call it different names, political jabs and all.
Thank you, which is not supposed to. You know, before, it's another thing to know how to talk, and it's another thing to know how to engage people. Because in all these things we do, there are just three things. There is belief, there is hope, and there is trust. If you trust the system, you believe in the system. And if you believe in the system, you will have hope for the system. And in a general terms, there is credibility, legitimacy, accountability, service, and power. If one is being weaponized, all of it will definitely have issues. I think we have to just tell, the politician has to be telling their supporters, it's only Nigeria we have. Some of them have other things. I don't know if you also have another thing.
I just only have one passport.
But we have Nigeria, right? If Nigeria is good, we are good. If Nigeria is bad, we are bad, right? If you work for your people, if you have done something for your people, you don't need to unleash anything. Your people will know that democracy is all about question and answer, right? Demand and supply. You ask them question, they provide answers by giving you their vote. If they ask you question, you provide the answer. So that's what happened. So what happened in Lagos, I will not sit here. I think God will not allow me to sit here and tell you nothing happened. A lot of things happened. You know, a lot of voter suppression, a lot of security issues were recorded. But there are paths that has not recorded that kind of a thing. Right? Okay. So we have to call them pockets, because the number of places where the positive events were recorded and the number of places where the negative events were recorded, the number of places where the positive events were recorded are more than the negative event. Okay. But my own thing is, can we investigate that issues? Can arrests be made? Can these people first the book? In Kano, we've seen immediately after presidential and national assembly election, an arrest was made, and the arrest was the majority leader of the National Assembly, in person of Dogwa. He has faced the law. At some point, he was granted bail and what have you. We look forward to see what the case may turn out to be. And I know his election that was declared based on duress, like Inec stated, was cancelled, you know, and what have you. So these are things that if people begin to see some people are facing the consequences of what they have done, they will shy away. Definitely, they will shy away from it. But the biggest thing is peace, peace and peace. That's all we hope for.
Most definitely. All right, before we let you go, I'd like to ask you 2 questions and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath. Now, we've talked about Lagos, we've talked about Ebonyi, we've talked about Imo, we've talked about Kano. Let's go to Adamawa State with all that is happening at the moment. A lot of people there's still that tension. People are waiting to see what the result is. Is it this party or the other party? Now, in your own view, what exactly would you say will be outcome of that under Adamawa State election? And lastly, as we begin to round up, would like to get your thoughts on the electorate. They came out in en masse because they believed in the system, they believed the beavers, they believed Inec, and then we saw the massive push that Nigerians had with regards to the elections. Do you think that this energy, this vibe can be sustained subsequently?
All right, so first of all, on the issue of Adama, it happens I am from Adamawa State, right? What happened at the first instance were 17 of the local government. Adamawa has 21 local government, and 17 of the local government were actually collected, and it was on the IRF, it was on Inec, everything. But, you know, situation rooms, political parties are beginning to have situation rooms, and they do what is called parallel tabulating. Now, the tabulating they have done with their expected numbers, they now put the information out there, and that is not for the public. And the public picked it up as a certain political party has won the election. They started congratulating her. A lot of people fall for the fake news, right? And then when it comes back, the deliberation was one local government that had a lot of issues. It's called Fufore, right? In that local government, there were some changes. I think the one political party scored 24,000 and the other one scored 21,000, right? That was the real result. Now, when it come in, because of the issues that was had, the returning officer said he is not interested in all these numbers. He will go back to the IRF and put the numbers together the way it comes from the polling unit. Now, after the tabulating, the numbers, the margin number between the winner and the second person is not up to the numbers of council vote. Right? And then the returning officer now declared the election inconclusive and decided that there is going to be election in 60 units, right? They divided it across all the local government that elections were cancelled for that to be done. So what do I tell people? I think it will do us good when we always wait for the umpires to announce the result before any other jubilation. So that is that for Adamawa State. And I wish and hope, right, the best candidate for the people. The people are the ones that voted for that person. Now, anybody that had the highest number of votes might definitely emerge. And I wish them best of luck as they do that. On your next question, what?
The electorate, the energy we see in
2020 the energy has to do with the hope, the trust, and the belief. That a lot of people has lost a bit of a confidence immediately after presidential election. And why is that happening? Presidential election, you have to know that the presidency managed 46% of our economy, right? The rest is being managed by the state and what have you. So you must see that kind of discrepancies. But I think it's another thing for us to tell people that your mandate is the democracy, and there is no democracy without election. We have to try and see this work. How do we make it work? I tell you what, INEC just have 16,000 something people in their payroll as staff. INEC has deployed over 1-something million people. Where did they get the people? Ad hoc staffs. They got it from the society. We cannot be doing the same thing, right, and expect something different. So we have to change our mindset.
But they went through trainings.
But their mindsets remain the same, right? So what I am saying is we have to look at these jobs in as much as there are people that we will hold accountable, but we have to look at this thing as something worth doing. We have to look at Nigeria as Nigeria, and we have to begin to change the narratives. We're going somewhere, right? Our elections are getting better as we move. We're not moving as fast as possible, But I am optimistic that with the process we're having, we'll get to a place where we'll sit down and talk about the positive events that are recorded, and then small pocket of not as much as what we're recording now, because I believe we are going to win a good race as Nigerians and win the race together of making Nigeria a better place. And that's my belief.
Awesome. Now, we also saw something just came to my mind, the picture of one masquerade at the polling unit, and that's actually caused a lot of highbrow. Is that any reason to actually make a fuss?
It's a masquerade. He believed in democracy and he decided to come and vote.
Is his vote supposed to be counted also?
Yes.
Because if they're supposed to use the beavers to check face and all.
Definitely he has opened, the masquerade has opened its face, and then people, accreditation was done before he or she voted. If not, his vote is not there.
Oh. Thank you so much, Modibbo. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, viewers, that's where we end this segment of the show. We've been chatting with Modibbo. He is the head of data collection, Usabe deployment 2023. And we'll go on this quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk to someone else. That's a politician who actually had, who was on site during the elections. And we'll see you shortly. Don't move, we'll be right back.